How's everyone doing today? It is Memorial Day weekend 2009. And I want to talk about Memorial Day a bit. And if you're here crunching alongside of me, as most of you know, I've got my dog Max sitting next to me chewing on a brand new bone. But let's go over Memorial Day. What actually is Memorial Day? A little bit of history. Memorial Day was originally called Decorations Day. It's a day of remembering those who have died in our nation's service. Now, since then, we still honor those that have died. We also honor those who have served. Memorial Day, really, as a foundation, is an amazing day. But unfortunately, there are many in this country who have really stripped the honor and dignity away from this day. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But first of all, I want to explain some about the history of Memorial Day by sharing a poem. It was written by Moina Michael, and this is her poem, and it reads, "We cherish too the poppy red that grows on fields where valor led. It seems to signal to the skies that blood of heroes never dies." And I want you to think about that. The blood of our heroes never dies. The people who fought years ago help preserve the freedoms that we have today. For those of you who protest, for those of you who are anti-military, anti-war, the right you have to protest that was given to you by these men and women who died for their country. That blood of heroes never dies. The blood they shed helps you continue to say the things that you say. Now, when World War I and especially World War II were over, our soldiers came home to a hero's welcome. You know, in the news they talked about, we're got to get rid of Hitler, got to get rid of the Red Menace, we got to keep ourselves free. Our soldiers did that. Our Marines did that. And thousands upon thousands upon thousands died and gave their lives. And they came home, especially during World War II, to an amazing hero's welcome. You've all seen the pictures of Times Square, the big ticker tape parades in Manhattan, where the woman runs out in the middle of the street and just grabs a random soldier and kisses him right there, and it's on the cover of Time, and it's an amazing thing to see. And then we move forward even more and we get into the Korean War, which they said, well, it wasn't a war, it was a police action, it was a conflict. But when the soldiers came back, they were still treated well, but not to the same glory that our soldiers in World War II had gotten. And then Vietnam hit. Same soldiers, same people who volunteered and signed up. But of course, Vietnam became a place where people got drafted. For one of the first times, World War II we had drafted people in. And they fought for the freedoms and the pride of our country. Vietnam was a time of peace and love, and many people fled the country. They burned their draft notices. The hippie movement was on, and they were all about freedom and love, and we're not going to war, and the hell with the government. But yet they still used the same freedoms they had in this country to protest the things that our Marines and our soldiers were dying to protect. So when they came home, let me read this to you. When our Vietnam soldiers came home and in the streets, they were spit on and called baby killers. They were called warmongers and murderers. Some hippies actually burned American flags at the feet of soldiers returning to home and blamed them for the war by saying, well, if you wouldn't have fought, then there wouldn't have been no war. These people gave their lives and watched their friends and their brothers die. They watched people die all around them, and they came home to a country that basically said, fuck you. When you wear that uniform, I wore it. I know what it's like to have that pride of that uniform, and to come home and have the country that you defend say, we don't want you. You're a murderer. You're nothing. You're disgusting. It hurts like hell. Now we're in the middle of the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War, and And whether you agree with it or not, they're there. Right now, as of today, May 24th, 2009, not one branch of the U.S. military is hurting for recruits. They're turning people away. They have too many people signing up. Our children know that we are at war and we're going to continue to be at war for a while, yet they're signing up in droves to defend this country. Some of them don't remember 9/11. They weren't old enough, or they read about it in history books. Not like it was that long ago for you and me, but for an 18-year-old child, it certainly was. But they're signing up and they're defending our country and they're wearing our uniform and they're fighting and they deserve our respect. But unfortunately, instead of our respect, they're getting something worse. Let me read a couple things for you. Now, I'm sure you've heard of some of these people like Cindy Sheehan, who lost a son, but you know something, her son voluntarily signed up for the military. But let me read some of this to you. U.S. veteran groups and Midwest politicians are angered by anti-gay Westboro Baptist Church recent practice of protesting the funerals of U.S. soldiers killed in the Iraq War. Now, it's not just that church, it's many, but it's many people. We have people protesting funerals. They're not standing on the streets while there's a parade coming down and saying we don't like the war. They're going to funerals where these people gave their lives. Their parents, their family, their wives, their children are crying. And we have these disgusting people standing there with signs saying things like, no, you'll thank God for 9/11. God is USA's terrorist. God hates you. Thank God for dead soldiers, and America is doomed. These are the signs that are being held up around funerals. No one deserves more respect than someone who gave their life to ensure that you have the freedoms to speak your mind. And you take those freedoms and you choose to write a sign that says, God is America's terrorist, and thank God for 9/11, and thank God for dead soldiers. I don't understand who you people think you are. I don't understand it, but you protest funerals. We've had to have motorcycle gangs who for many years were looked at as evil and mean, but a lot of these were veterans that stood up and says, we're not going to allow this to happen. And they've held barricades around funerals so families have the chance to mourn. We have gone from I regret that I have but one life to give for my country to thank God for dead soldiers. Well, today is Memorial Day. I have a lot of family members that have served this great country, as have I. I recognize every single one of them, and I thank God every one of them served. I've had friends that have been killed in action. And I remember them, and I'm proud of what they've done for me and my family to keep them safe and free. It's Memorial Day weekend. Tomorrow's Memorial Day. Please, for the love of God, thank anyone who has served this country, because no matter what you believe in, they're fighting. Them putting their lives on the line gives you that opportunity to think how you think and live your life how you live it. Don't ever disrespect the family of somebody who fought for your rights. Whether you agree with them or not, thank them and move on. God bless everybody, especially those that have worn the uniform of this country and put their lives on the line for other people. Until next time.